Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Korra news update video. Once again, this is another update on the IDW Games Legend of Korra Pro Bending Arena game, and this is the Day 9 reveal, which of course means a new Pro Bending team revealed. And yeah, Day 9, as it says here in the update on the Kickstarter page, please welcome the Golden Temple Tigerdillos, and there's also a separate IDW project that they talk about, not related to Korra, but okay, it's the Tigerdillos. As I predicted, it was either going to be the Tigerdillos or the Platypus Bears. They went for the Tigerdillos, and I really think they could have gone either way on it. I don't think there's anything that makes either team really, I think, stand out more than the other. I was kind of leaning more for the Platypus Bears because they actually were a team that, like, Korra was on the Fire Ferrets when they fought the Tigerdillos, whereas Korra was on the team when they fought the Platypus Bears, whereas the Tigerdillos are actually the team that they fought just before Hisoka left the team. So Hisoka was still on the team as the team's waterbender when they fought the Tigerdillos. So it's just, interesting that this is a team from the preliminary rounds of the tournament rather than the main Pro Bending tournament itself. But here's a look at the kind of, I suppose, reveal kind of thing. We get a look at the logo. We get the names of the characters. So the firebender on the Tigerdillos is Josei or Yosei. Not really sure of the pronunciation. Yosei, whichever way you want it. Haka is the earthbender, and Kano is the waterbender. I actually really like Kano as a waterbender name. That really fits. Haka's a good earthbending name, and I think Josei works as firebending name. Obviously, they do get these names, I think, primarily or like agreed with like the creators and like within the brand. So it's not like IDW Games just made up these names. These were the intent for the canon names of these characters. So that's interesting. And yeah, you get the 3 minis of the Tigerdillos, a team board, 36 technique cards, 6 universal trick cards usable by any team. The description we get is here: the pride of the Golden Temple. Haka, Yosei, and Kano come to pro bending with years of experience under their belts. As they're not spring chicken pigs anymore. That's a fun hybrid animal joke. The Tigerdillos rely less on their athleticism and more on their wisdom as veterans of the sport. They know when it's best to fight and when it's best to regroup and refocus. So, the main thing about these, okay, veteran team, not the most athletic, but they've been around so long they know what's going on, basically. That's the idea with this team. So that's pretty cool. Again, it's kind of one of those things like what really distinguishes these from the Porcupines, especially with, I think, an opportunity with the reveal of each of these teams to go a little bit more into, I suppose, background behind them to get across why you want to play as this team more than any other team. And it's kind of like I said with the Porcupine reveal. Why did they not say that they were like a previous champion of the event? Like, it would have been a cool thing to reveal that, oh, the Tigerdillos got to the final one time, but they lost to the Porcupines. That they're like, until this new batch of young teams came in, like the Tigerdillos were always that number 2 team. They're always the runner-up. Just presents something really unique about them beyond just the wise veterans as they kind of set up here. Still, cool. We get the names, and of course, because of that, their whole power is called veteran on their team board. The Tigerdillos, while capable benders, may be past their prime in terms of raw athletic prowess. However, their veteran status in pro bending gives their team members a sense of when to take advantage of the shift in battle and gain more of an edge over the competition. And here you can see what the dynamic is in the actual game. When you play a veteran technique card for Chi, gain 2 Chi instead of 1. Veteran technique cards are used as normal when played for actions. And there's a look at the team board. Really cool Tigerdillo kind of logo there. We've seen Tigerdillos before in a couple of episodes. Again, like the Porcupines, it's kind of one of those ones. There's a few episodes where they're mentioned. Some of the comics from the Lost Adventures, and I think you see a Tigerdillo at some point in the Tales of Ba Sing Se Aang's story with all the animals. But we've seen them. We know what a Tigerdillo looks like. There's some of the other cards: Flowing River, Channel Chi, Deep Tremors, and then they just go into their other thing, which is basically just a magazine covering extra stuff on IDW art, and that's pretty much that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We got a pro bending team. Another thing that came out in one of their other updates was that they linked this article here from Geek and Sundry, which is basically an interview about the big Equalist Amon expansion. So they go over that sort of stuff. I think the most interesting thing about it, though, is that they show what the miniatures look like when they're painted. The article doesn't seem to mention these two pictures, but like highlights them. So it just is a kind of like, it's a bit of a tease in that, like, oh, here's what they could look like. Not that we're going to give them to you like this. Kind of really makes you think seeing it like this. There's the wolf bats all colored. I think there's a few people who would have went in for a bit more money on their pledge if they could get at least the main 6 characters here, the fire ferrets and the wolf bats, painted. I think there is a good amount of people who would actually go ahead with that and be like, okay, an extra like 20 or 30 or something along those lines, just to have the main miniatures actually be painted in really good quality like this. Maybe it's way too much kind of time and effort to do that, but I feel it's something that they, at least with the base game and the characters you get in the base game, should have at least to some extent attempted to do or add in, because it makes them look so much more distinct just having them like that. In that immediately what you can do is that, like, you no longer have to have the bases be a specific color to designate which bender is which. You could see just from the figure and the character of each figure what they looked like. It's really, really clear. So I think that looks so much better with the Pro Bending gear and stuff like that, making it clear that, look, even though the Pro Bending gear looks the same when it's all grey, the teams have their own like colors and stuff like that. That the Fire Ferrets wear red, the Wolf Bats kind of wore kind of black and grey. The Tigerdillos, if you look here, kind of wear kind of like tan and brown. There is distinctions in the uniform that doesn't come across at all in most of the material. So there's that. You know, admittedly, like on the character pictures, they get that across, and that you can see the headgear on each of the team is, in this case the Tigerdillos, is brown for the little bit of art that we get, but you know, doesn't make it as distinct as it could be. So as usual, we'll go back over the campaign and look at the days left with the reveals. So yeah, they haven't quite updated this section yet, but we had this day 9 is what we got today, and that is the Tigerdillos. Day 10 is going to be some more cards, so I won't be covering that one tomorrow. But on Saturday, we're going to be getting, I suppose, what's going to be the final team of 3, which I do still feel now has to be the Buzzard Wasps. I think now that they've committed to the Tigerdillos, this has to be the Buzzard Wasps, because there is actually a slight distinction about the team in that they're kind of meant to be the team most similar to the Fire Ferrets. They're all these, you know, young. They basically, in the commentary for that match between the Fire Ferrets and the Buzzard Wasps, say that like it would be a really difficult task to find 2 teams more evenly matched in terms of like age, experience, and just kind of like team makeup than the Fire Ferrets and the Buzzard Wasps. So that makes them kind of distinct, and then whatever description that they give them plus the names could also kind of create that interesting distinction with the Buzzard Wasps. But that's what day 11 looks to be. Then day 12 on Sunday looks to be more of that stuff. Day 13 is obviously going to be Kuvira as a kind of one-person team. Interesting to see how they kind of do the whole one-person team dynamic with her. They obviously had the combustion bending to really make like Pali a one-person team. And you know, Kuvira is strong, and she can absolutely, you know, is powerful enough to hold her own against a bunch of other benders. But I also feel like you kind of have to give a good explanation. Are they just going to have like metal bending be her thing? That like that's not a usual thing for pro bending, so the metal bending aspect. 14 is going to be interesting because it just looks like more tokens. But is there something unique about this, like a new mechanic that they add to the game with these new tokens? And then day 15, I think it is Unalaq. It's either going to be Unalaq or Tarlok, I think here. Maybe a cone, but I'm not really sure, because they do have the moon in the background. It's I feel it's probably going to be Unalaq to get a villain from each of the books. And him as a one-person team, obviously he's a very skilled bender just by himself in terms of his water bending, and then he has the whole spirit bending as well. So they could do that as his kind of one-person team dynamic, that he's a spirit bender, and that's a kind of thing that instantly wins him the fight. They could also go down the road of just like Dark Avatar, that they present not just Unalaq Waterbender, but they kind of go more Unalaq the Dark Avatar type thing, given that they've also added in Korra as an avatar card. Why not add in like Unalaq the Dark Avatar card and have like Vatu Chaos Powers be like his kind of unique thing that kind of makes him into a one bender team. So they could go a few different ways with it. If it is Tarlok, they could go the bloodbending route, but they already have a Mon to cover that front, so I think Unalaq is much more likely. And then I think the pose that they seem to kind of have him in looks kind of more like a Unalaq type pose, and maybe we'll see how that goes. But that's the last day reveal. So yeah, that's overall, as I said, pretty successful reveal this time out with the Tigerdillos this time out. So yeah, I'll just kind of end up with just one quick final look at this reveal. There's the dynamic there, and yeah, again, the new information is that all 3 character names are brand new. Josei, Haka, and Kano. Very nice names and cool team. But yeah, that's been the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the Tigerdillos. Do you have any thoughts about why they chose them over the Platypus Bears? And your predictions for the remaining team. Do you think it's the Buzzard Wasps like I do? But we'll move on. So yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.